the third Uganda general election, 1996. The third Uganda presidential election was held in May 1996. At that time, the candidates who challenged the president were all independent candidates, because the political parties at that time was banned. Ugandans went to the poll and they claimed that voters' turnout was 72.3%. The candidate who participated in that process, the presidential candidate of the NRM, Paul Semogere, Kibirige Mayanza. Those are the independents who stood against the president. We all know that a one-party system is a form of government where the country is ruled by a single political party. The forming of other political parties is forbidden, and at that time it was also forbidden for Uganda to form a political party. And these two gentlemen ended up competing in a one-party system with independent candidate challenging the president. The election may appear satisfactory, but money and power played an important role. The influence of money, material benefits, took a center stage. They had money, and they were using their money the way they want to use it. Using the Bush war slogan did influence the outcome of the general election. It did. Because when people keep telling you, you have to understand, you have to vote us. We fought for it. None of you fought for it. Then the citizen becomes scared. The citizen gives up hope. And that is something that we should not accept. Corrupted electoral process and disrupted its outcome. In an interview with London-based Africa Ethan magazine in October, the president himself admitted that the use of money during election was not democratic. It was not democratic. But since then, he has done nothing to change that situation, to correct that bad behavior. And election after election, they are using the same tactics, whereby electoral commission is controlled by the state. And the state is the one who organized the election. It's not the electoral commission. The electoral commission is just a rubber stamp. Believe me, since then, the president had been talking of correcting the mistake that started in 1996 But today we are in 2020. That same mistake is not yet corrected. All Ugandan election thereafter, the 1996 president election, is still characterized by massive use of money and other materials, inducement, that became a normal behavior in Uganda of today. It seemed to be the magic word that ever happened. Since 1996, influencing any election that had been taking place in Uganda. And money has become the big benefactor of those who are poor, those who are in poverty. The 1996 election had been affected and undermined the transition to democracy under the NRM government. Especially when the same players do all they can to influence voters' choices with money, material contribution, or promising voters material benefits. The massive use of money, materials, benefits, gifts, promises of new district during election is something that had been compromising the citizens' freedom and their right of choice. Contrary to a process of building a meaningful system of government. Believe me, this sort of behavior has compromised the dignity and the trust in Uganda. You begin to wonder why have we turned ourselves into something that we are not? And we don't have a regret about it. Because all of us think it's normal. We keep on wondering, is it now free and fair election? Was the 1996 election that the NRM won in a one-party race? Was it fair? It seems massive. Electing new leaders in Uganda is still based on do or die business. I fought for it, so I have the right to own it. That is what is killing us. That is what has been there. I went to the bush, I fought for it. And I owned that process. And when everybody start going around saying, I fought for it, I have the right to have it, then the Electoral Commission is not independent. The Electoral Commission is being controlled by the state. And it is a state property. I understand after the election, the independent candidate, 𝐷𝐿𝐻𝐻𝐻, one of the men who participated in the same election, said that he cannot accept the result of 1996 election. He said that he had been a very patient person in his public life because he thought it was the best thing to do for Uganda. He spent time with people he does not agree with for the sake of democracy. Remember, he said he spent time with the people he does not agree with for the sake of democracy. He knew these people for a long time, before and after independence. When people of different political beliefs, religion, and nationality comes together for once, then you start learning each other's behavior. Sometimes you have to compromise. We know that the game in this politics is compromise. But even with compromise, you don't have to sell your dignity. And here, I think 𝐷𝐿𝐻𝐻 was right when he said, look, I've been with these people since independence. And this is exactly what I've been telling you people before. That the people who are running the show are the people who were there since 1962. They know the games. And when they are almost out of power, when they become dictators, they start using bombastic words, telling the people of Uganda that you are nothing without me. I know a leader who once said, you guys, the chair I'm sitting on is very hot. If you want to take it, come and you'll feel it. And that was the beginning of the end. And today, I hear another leader saying that cultural leaders just came, found them there. That is absurd. The cultural leaders is older than any president, any prime minister, or any minister in Uganda of today. So don't tell me that if you go to demonstrate, I'll come and crush you. You see, when they start using those words, I will come and crush you, then one begin to wonder, why should we allow the men we put in power to come and crush us? So the people of Uganda should start thinking of crushing the president. That should at least happen once in a while. It is time that people use their head. But we should not be so stupid because of that money we are getting. because of that position they're giving us when we don't even know what to do in that position. And 𝐶𝐤𝐬𝐿 also said that the president himself is stubborn individual whose aim is only to cling to power. He revealed 54 cases of malpractices, rigging of votes, intimidation of voters by the state, and the use of pre-ticked ballot papers, the use of fake voters' cards, and doctored voter registers. Imagine an election where soldiers are organized and voted for the president several times. We are very good in using taxpayers' money to manage our own election. Imagine the soldiers that are supposed to protect us is now protecting the president, is voting for the president. The army that is supposed to protect Ugandans is not protecting Ugandans, but his partners. They are partners in crime against the people of Uganda because they are voting for the president. They are keeping the president in power so that they can expand their military-industrial base, so that they could still use that money that you're being sent to fight somewhere in Iraq, in Somalia, and you'll be paid dollars, when the people who are really receiving those dollars are the people who are organizing your trips to fight in Iraq or in Somalia. And when you come back or you don't come back, they don't care. It is your family who will suffer, but not them. And as he said, that the president owned the campaign agents who are also presiding officers, polling assistants in all districts and polling stations. That you cannot tell me that even if you are you're a airspace scientist, you'll win election when the man has put all his people everywhere. That is impossible. And to be honest, those who still believe that you can change a government through democratic election, you are daydreaming. There's nothing like democratic election. There's nothing. In that situation, believe me, I won't lose an election if I'm the president today. Rigging election is a new way of life in Uganda today. It is a near normal behavior. There are multiple victims of election violence. Today and then, it started in 1996. Full of barbaric attacks by NRM supporters in many districts in Uganda. District internal security officers are also the long arms of the government. The local defense unit is created to be a part of the system that hold the election together. And their main goals I do believe that in many parts of the country, even underage children in 1996 were allowed to vote early in the morning to avoid confrontation with election observers. But to be honest, as I said before, I don't believe anything anymore in election observers. We all know they don't make a difference. They are also a rubber stamp of the state, and I don't believe in them. I don't believe in them. Let me be clear. If the Electoral Commission is the property of the state, then let's not talk about democratic election in Uganda. Thank you for listening. I will be back.